I know that as affirmations have become more mainstream, just like self-love, they are fairly misunderstood. I often hear affirmations mocked with reductionistic jokes that portray people who use them as naive. Whenever I've thought something was cheesy or not for me, or I judged it, there was some protection in place and an unwillingness to look deeper because it jeopardized my identity in some way. So I get it. And I thought that I'd share my perspective on the power of affirmations and how they actually work. Affirmations, when used properly, are a powerful tool for transformation. My definition of an affirmation is a declaration of truth. When we state a truth out loud, our system responds to it. Sometimes this response is an emotional release because the truth liberates energy we've been unconsciously holding at bay. When I discovered breathwork back in 2013, I was already on a spiritual path, but it was one I related to more from an intellectual perspective rather than a heart-centered one. I didn't know anything about energy, affirmations, heart opening, or even what I was doing by starting a breathwork practice. I just knew that it was doing something positive to me, so I kept up with it. I inadvertently began using affirmations when I began working with my teacher and mentor, David Elliott, who encouraged me to say them at certain times while I was breathing. I didn't put a lot of thought into these affirmative statements at the time, but I knew that they were deeply impacting me because of my experiences using them. I've had this experience plenty of times while in a breathwork session. I'd say a particular affirmation out loud, and it felt like something was cracked open within me. Often I'd find myself surprised by my reaction because I was observing the truth that my analytical mind was masking deeper fears my subconscious was carrying. There was a time when my heart was broken so badly that I felt like I had completely lost myself. The pain felt unbearable, and when I didn't know what to do with my hurt, I intuitively would walk over to my mirror with tears streaming down my face, look into my own eyes, and out loud declare my love for myself. Had I not been going through the most devastating experience of my life, it would have been something I would have thought was cheesy at the time. But our wounded hearts have no time for judgments of the mind. If saying I'm worthy of love feels cheesy, you probably don't fully believe you're worthy of love. The judgment comes in as a defense mechanism, so we don't have to look at the truth. If we see the truth, then we'll be responsible for making changes in our lives. My intuitive direction to affirm myself when I longed for affirmation from outside myself was a path to healing my heart. I felt so unlovable, and from a limited perspective, it looked like my life experience of being abandoned and rejected by someone I loved was validating that. But I affirmed the deepest truth within myself, that I loved myself. I was affirming my own love, and it helped me to feel that truth. Many times I've said an affirmation during breathwork and I began to cry immediately after. It was as if a door was opening to my shadow, and it liberated a truth that I was hiding from myself. Along with that truth came emotion that had been hidden within me as well. Affirmations are so powerful because they can unlock doors we didn't even know existed and liberate the energy that's keeping us imbalanced. Using them during breathwork makes them incredibly potent because it supports us in quieting the analytical mind and gives us access to our subconscious. Through this process, we begin to transform and we become more conscious of where we've been and what we truly desire through the information revealed to us. So, how do affirmations actually work? Our emotions are attached to thoughts and beliefs we carry about ourselves and the world. Most of us are running unconscious programming that is incredibly negative. If you begin to pay close attention, you'll start to notice the things that you tell yourself about who you are. But remember that about 95% of the mind is made up of your subconscious. As you become more conscious, you'll begin to see the truth about yourself. You'll begin to see what you subconsciously think and believe that creates your energetic field and influences the areas of your life that you feel stuck within. Breathwork is an incredible tool for increasing our conscious awareness because it quiets the mind and connects us to the truth in our hearts. The point of an affirmation is to declare the truth, which lives inherently within you, but is buried by limiting beliefs. And in doing so, you're making the conscious choice to align yourself with that truth. You're training your subconscious and you're imprinting new positive information within it. If you go to say an affirmation and it feels like you can't do so in earnestness, it's illuminating your relationship to yourself. Not only do you feel like it's untrue, but you don't feel like it's possible for you. So this is where a lot of people roll their eyes at affirmations and make the claim that you're pointlessly declaring something that's not true with the expectation that it's going to change things. Most people don't want to say an affirmation that feels like a lie because saying I'm worthy of love feels wrong when you feel unworthy and when you have examples all around your life that validate that belief to you. So then you keep thinking I'm unworthy, and then you continue to create an energy field that perpetuates the same kinds of experiences. Affirmations can support you in breaking that cycle. The feeling state in your body when you say, I'm never gonna have what I want, holds a very different energy than saying, what I desire is on its way to me. It's like playing a record that you hate, but you can't figure out how to turn it off, compared to listening to a new track you've never heard before, but will come to love. When we go years and years with unconscious programming and then continue to have experiences that validate our false beliefs, it's not gonna feel good to say an affirmation. It's gonna feel false because you're still carrying all of the energy attached to those false beliefs. This is why affirmation work pairs really well with breath work. While you're making affirmative statements that honor your true nature, you're releasing the energy attached to false beliefs so that you can become more and more aligned with the truth. But none of this happens in a day. You don't say one affirmation all day long or have one breathwork session and state some affirmations and then your entire life is different. This takes work, effort, commitment, something that many people have a difficult time with. It's much easier to criticize something that doesn't provide immediate results than to earnestly engage in a transformative practice. So my advice to those who feel like it's hard to say an affirmation is to say it anyway. Say it with clarity that this is the truth you're calling into your reality, and acknowledge the part of you that doesn't believe it's true or doesn't believe it can happen for you. I don't believe in totally ignoring the parts of you that don't believe in what you're doing, because they're there. They're these wounded parts of you that need your love. They need your attention. You don't want to dismiss them. At the same time, you don't want to let them run the show because that's what they've been doing for years and it hasn't worked out so well. I like to use examples of working with children as a way to drive the point home. If you had a 5-year-old child, would you ever tell them that they aren't worthy of love? Would you tell them that you don't approve of who they are? Would you tell them that they aren't safe? Would you tell them that they aren't a good person or that they don't have a good heart? Would you tell them that they don't have the power to change their lives? Would you let them go on believing that about themselves day in and day out? The wounded parts within you that don't feel capable of stating these affirmations are versions of you from childhood that took on limiting beliefs and stories, and it's your responsibility as a grown adult to tend to these aspects of yourself that are frozen in time and set them free. Affirmations are one way you can do this. The energy of affirmations is much higher than that of a limiting belief. Limiting beliefs are ways we create holding patterns for ourselves. Affirmations are doors that open us up to possibility. When you use an affirmation, you might not believe it at the time, and you might not have evidence in your life supporting it, but you're saying it to claim it. The affirmation is claiming your worth. It's acknowledging the truth to the wounded part of you. So if you're someone looking to uncover the truth about yourself, to create a beautiful life for yourself, and to know that you're lovable, I highly encourage you to begin a committed breathwork practice. In all of my guided breathwork meditations, I use affirmations, and if you're interested in working with them, you're welcome to join Divine Passage, my living library of breathwork meditations. And if you're new to breathwork, a great introduction is my free 12-minute guide, Breathwork for Opening. I'm linking both in my notes, and in my next episode, I'm sharing with you the most important thing I've ever done.